Now, Michael Gates, counsel for the Trump administration, said in the hearing a preliminary injunction wasn't warranted because the order hadn't been implemented, and a citizenship requirement would not be on the federal voter registration form for many months. Roma Palamas, president of the League of United Latin American Citizens, a nonpartisan plaintiff. Are you kidding? Oh, yeah. Cheered the judge's decision. Victory for voters. I don't care what party you're in. I don't care. You know damn well why they don't want people to have to show that they're citizens to vote. They have flooded this country with tens of millions of illegal aliens. That's why. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Did you know that other organization supports LGBTQ rights? That's right. That other so-called senior advocacy group is pushing a radical left-wing agenda. They've been in bed with the left for years. That's why I stand with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. It's the conservative alternative, and they're fighting to protect the America we grew up loving. Anyone can join AMAC regardless of your age. That's right. You don't have to be 50 or 60, but they want every freedom-loving American in the fight. And right now, AMAC is offering a 5-year membership for $31. Normally it's $60. That's a 47% off. But this offer ends on April 30th. And your $31 doesn't go to some woke nonsense. They help AMAC stand up for your values across this great country. Oh, and did I mention you get fantastic benefits and discounts like nowhere else? Go to amac.us/Levin right now. amac.us/LEVIN. That's amac.us/Levin. Join the fight for America's future.
On the freeway, the earlier accident eastbound after Main Avenue now clear, but traffic is still jammed from the 14th Street Bridge. And there is still the crash on the ramp from the eastbound freeway to go southbound on 295. That is causing delays from the 3rd Street Tunnel. Interloop jams up from 66 to the 270 spur and from Old Georgetown Road to New Hampshire Avenue, where a disabled has now been cleared. And the outer loop, the accident before Route 50 moved to the right shoulder, but it is slow on the outer loop from Richie Marlborough Road all the way in towards Greenbelt. Still a slow go through Tyson's on the outer loop, and slow again from the Springfield interchange to the Wilson Bridge. Now from GarageRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, partly cloudy, lows in the 50s. Tomorrow, increasing clouds, isolated showers possible, highs near 80.
Hey, weekend warriors, how's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Blowing out your birthday candles should be easy, but if you have undiagnosed COPD, you may find yourself short of breath. Early diagnosis and treatment can add years to your life. If you have symptoms like wheezing or chronic cough, talk to your doctor and visit copdfoundation.org today.
Every 15 seconds, someone is diagnosed with cancer. If it's happened to you or someone you love, the American Cancer Society can help at every step of the journey. Visit cancer.org today.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's Disease Research Program is paving the way for a cure. Learn about symptoms, diagnosis, and breakthrough research at brightfocus.org or call us at 1-855-345-6237 for free resources.
What's up, everyone? It's Trevor Sickema here from the PFF NFL Show, here to get you ready for the 2025 NFL Draft. We're dropping PFF podcast episodes 3 times a week with the rankings, sleepers, team fits, mock drafts, and more, powered by the same data used by all 32 NFL teams. If you want a deeper insight into this year's class and how it all shapes up on draft day, we've got you covered. Become a smarter draft fan right now on the PFF NFL podcast. The PFF NFL podcast, part of the Believe Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Can blowing your nose actually make your cold symptoms worse? It's an interesting question, and apparently one that people have been Googling a lot lately. So we talked to some ENTs, and they said that blowing your nose can provide temporary relief, but there are more effective ways of clearing the mucus and helping you in the long run. Saline irrigation is one way to clear congestion. The saltwater solution actually clears the nasal cavity, flushes away the mucus and the bacteria and the other irritants. Nasal decongestants, they can also help by reducing swelling in your blood vessels to open up your airways. A warm compress or steam can help loosen the mucus and let it come out naturally. If you are going to blow your nose, experts recommended blowing one nostril at a time very gently and using tissues with aloe or menthol to prevent irritation on the outside of the nose as well. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
We simply cannot have a country where unelected, left-wing Democrat lawyers run the country, even though their party loses the election. This is illegitimate. This is not judging. This is anti-constitutional, which makes it unconstitutional. It's before our eyes. We, the people, are witness to what's taking place. We voted for a different administration. We voted for different policies. And don't tell me the President of the United States has no power unless Congress gives it to him. That's not what the Constitution says. And don't tell me the President of the United States has to have all these Democrat lawyers dressed up as judges looking over his shoulder every time he makes a decision. We know who's bringing these cases. We know who's bringing these cases. We know why they're bringing them where they're bringing them. And we know why the results are what they are. And right now, in the first 100 days of the Trump presidency, we have an aggressive, out of control, rogue judiciary. And the Supreme Court so far has been dancing on a tightrope. They'll throw one over here, they'll throw one over there. But that's not good enough. That's not good enough. There's going to come a time, I'm sad to say, that the only way to respond to this is going to be to not comply with court orders and to not comply with them on a massive scale in one courtroom after another, in one courthouse after another. I mean, how much more can we as a people tolerate these lawyers dressed up as judges, these Democrat Party activists making decisions that are absolutely insane to advantage the Democrat Party, to advantage illegal aliens, to advantage the bureaucracy and public sector unions? How much more of this do we have to take? Congress, everybody knows, moves very slowly. And when you have a bare majority in the House, and frankly, a bare majority in the Senate, given the fact that 3, 4, 5, or 6 Republicans like to bold as well, and when you consider how the Supreme Court is conducting itself, I mean, they're the Sybil of the judiciary. They must have 23 different minds and psychologies up there. This is really black and white stuff. It's simple. The judiciary doesn't have this power. The Constitution, she says, only Congress and the states have the power, she says, to affect federal elections. Yet she upheld half of what he issued in his executive order. She doesn't even make any sense. She doesn't even make any sense. When it comes to this guy Garcia, who was sent to El Salvador, which is where he's from, he's an illegal alien. Whatever it is, MS-13, he's a wife beater and all the rest of it. A court issued a cause order and so forth. The gang doesn't even exist anymore that he said was threatening him. But none of it matters. It's a mere technicality. Because if they were to bring him back, he would be deported again. You just run him through a ringer a different way, and it's over. But the judge wants to make a constitutional issue out of it, and the administration is right to fight the judge. Because in order to get this guy back, that means the President of the United States has to bow in front of a single federal district judge. Even the Supreme Court in its ruling warned about separation of powers, warned the lower court to be careful about this. If Trump bows to these things, which he will not, then he's damaging the office of the presidency, and he's damaging separation of powers, and he's giving in to a rogue federal judge. I don't care what they're writing at National Review. I don't care what they're writing at the Wall Street Journal editorial page. They don't know what the F they're talking about. This is a big deal. A big deal. This is an entire campaign. Now, we've been through this for years. For years, we fought what they were trying to do to Donald Trump. For years. Whether it's documents, whether it's the Espionage Act or the Presidential Records Act, whether it's obstruction in the Enron case and using that statute, whether it's the 1871 KKK statute, and on and on and on. The conduct of the trials in New York, the conduct of the trial in Georgia, and now this. He goes through the gauntlet. They try to put him in prison. They try and break him. They fail. We, the people, vote overwhelmingly. He wins. And now they're trying to gut his presidency. The same people trying to gut his presidency. I'll be right back. Folks, we're living in uncertain times. Market volatility, economic instability. These are real threats to your hard-earned savings. That's why Advantage Gold and I want you to join the April 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time Gold and Silver Summit, an exclusive event backed by popular demand, where you'll learn how to build your own strategic wealth reserve. Now, if you've been thinking about getting help protecting your assets, this is the event for you. That's right. It's April 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern for the Gold and Silver Summit. Don't miss it. They're giving away up to $100,000 in free silver. Each person can claim up to $1,000 in free silver, plus $300 in bonuses, but only if you qualify. The catch is you have to attend a live event to learn how. Don't wait until it's too late. Text MAGA to 85545 right now to reserve your spot. This could be one of the most important financial decisions you ever make. Text MAGA to 85545. Message and data rates apply. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 6:30. I'm Heather Curtis. A district man charged with defacing property after prosecutors say he vandalized 4 Teslas in Northeast last month was in court today. 49-year-old Justin Fisher was released on personal recognizance. He and his wife, Emily Fisher, turned themselves in this month after allegedly writing things including, quote, ask me about my support of Nazis, unquote, on Teslas. U.S. Attorney Ed Martin says, quote, the so-called Tesla takedown is domestic terrorism, unquote. He adds they're not just attacks on property, but meant to suppress political speech. The 2 Fairfax County police officers shot in the arms during a traffic stop near Greenbrier yesterday had been released from the hospital and are recovering at home. Police today identified the alleged shooter as 36-year-old Jamal Wally. A third officer who fatally shot Wally as he opened fire on his colleagues is on restricted duty status. Traffic and weather next.
When your business information is missing or inconsistent across the internet, search engines won't find you, and customers won't either. Help ensure customers see you and not your competitors. Boost your findability. Cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS boost.com.
Reba McEntire. In life, you'll hear a lot of people tell you that you can do anything you want. I'm here to tell you that's true. Since I was a little girl, I dreamed of becoming a successful singer and entertainer. It took a lot of hard work, dedication, and perseverance to find my success, but it was worth it. I never gave up on my dreams. Remember, you can never have a dream come true until you've had a dream. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
This is my new best friend, Esther. She might look like any normal, playful puppy, but Esther's being raised to become a canine companions for independence assistance dog for a person with a disability. To get there, she needs lots of loving care and attention, plenty of exercise, and good eating habits so that she can live a long and healthy life for her future family. Visit cci.org or call 1-800-572-BARK. Raise a puppy, change a life. You can make a world of difference in the life of a person with a disability.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook. Because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Last year, almost 3/4 of adults in the American Psychiatric Association's annual health poll said they were anxious about current events. And I'm willing to bet this year's poll will show that number to be even higher. During times of adversity, we tend to spend more time worrying about the future or in fear of the future, or we reflect on the past with rumination at a higher rate than reminiscence. That's what Dr. Chan Hellman told us. He's the founding director of the Hope Research Center at the University of Oklahoma. The language that we hear or read, the language that we use, can really skew our worldview. So if you want to feel more optimistic, stop doom scrolling. Stop doom posting. Shift from setting lofty long-term goals to specific short-term goals that you can achieve. Also, put a premium on strengthening social connections. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Making sense of your world.
I can't believe this.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
And I am so with you.
Making sense of the news. WMAL. Making sense of the border. Because laws either matter or they don't. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Yes, it's true that Mark Levin is the fastest growing radio show in America.
Come on, get.
The Mark Levin Show is on at 877-381-3811.
Alan Garber's the president of Harvard, and he's making the media rounds, pretending that they really are fighting this problem of anti-Semitism at Harvard, and they will not be bullied by Trump. They will not be told what to do. Perhaps there are others, but I know one major college that doesn't take any government money, and we've talked about them for at least a decade, probably more on this program, and that's Hillsdale. Not one penny in federal monies, even student loans. They don't take students or don't. They're involved in federal student monies. Same with state money in Michigan, none of it. And they're free to do as they wish. It's a very moral environment. The professors, the students, it's a very virtuous environment. And you don't have anti-Semites on campus. You don't have people on campus who want to overthrow the government. You don't have any of that going on that campus. One of the things I recommended at the end of American Marxism was to fund these colleges and universities. It's exactly what the president is doing. And they have no right to our tax dollars. They have no right to tax-exempt status. None. Those are privileges. Privileges. And if they want to take that money, if they want tax-exempt status, they have to conduct themselves in a way that is at least honorable. They don't have to be conservative or liberal or whatever they are. There don't have to be any tests. You know, we've been through colleges and universities before that are radical left wing. But what's going on in our colleges and campuses today, it's an enigma. Unfortunately, it's an enigma becoming a reality, becoming the rule, not the exception. And so to do nothing about it would be a disaster. It would be to turn over government-supported, with your tax dollars, so-called educational institution to indoctrination mills of the Marxist and Islamist left, which is what they pretty much are right now. Pretty much what they are now. So here's this guy, Garber, on NBC News. Mr. Producer, can we see, it's tomorrow or bust, if we can get Mr. Garber on this program tomorrow, the president of Harvard. Cut one, Lester Holt with Garber. Go.
Is this really about anti-Semitism?
I would say that at Harvard, we have a real problem with anti-Semitism. We take it very seriously, and we're trying to address it.
See, this stuff, we take it very seriously. I mean,
who am I?
They obviously don't. Here you have a president of Harvard who's Jewish. You have rampant anti-Semitism on that campus. We take it very seriously, and we're trying to address it. What do you mean trying to address it? Stamp it out. Suspend students. Expel students. Shut down groups and organizations that the college has to authorize to be present and active on their college campus if they're involved in any of this.
I'm going to roll a joint now.
It doesn't apply to the college enforcing its own rules on its students and its faculty. They're not the government. What could be easier, frankly? Go ahead.
There's no doubt about the severity of that problem. We don't really see the relationship to research funding at Harvard and other universities. They are two different issues.
See how sleazy this is? He's talking about funding of Harvard. Some of that money goes towards research. Research. We don't see the relationship between the two. Oh, I do. You should be using some of your $53 billion, which you wasn't asked about. You should be using some of your tax-exempt $53 billion on research, on hospitals, on whatever you want. But if we're going to continue to allow you don't get a participation trophy, as they say. You're the president of the college. Fix it. Put your foot down. But he's not. They're trying to address it. The problem is Harvard, like many of these colleges, have an enormous number of foreign students. The problem is Harvard, like many of these colleges, have received enormous sums of money from countries like Qatar, China, and so forth. So here we are. I don't see the relationship between research funding and so forth. It's not about research funding. It's about funding. Funding. Plus, they have a confiscatory tuition. Plus, this is the same Harvard that was discriminating against Asian students. Remember that? Remember that? The Supreme Court? The Asian students won. They won the case against Harvard in the North Carolina school. They were discriminating against them, preventing them, despite their grades, despite their SATs, top level, because they, quote unquote, had too many Asians. And so Harvard discriminated against them. And I've explained it to you, nobody else will, that Harvard has a deep and broad history going back to the 1930s in supporting the Third Reich and Nazis. That's correct. We're lectured by Harvard. We're lectured by the New York Times that has a deep and broad history of covering up the Holocaust. We have Harvard in the 1930s, whose president was an anti-Semite, who invited Nazi professors, sharing professors, to Harvard. And worse. Cut two, go.
What they are indicating is that they want to directly review who we hire on our faculty.
No. See how this guy is a sleazeball extraordinaire. That's why I want him on the show. What they're trying to determine, folks, is if they're bringing in these Islamists and so forth and so on to the exclusion of other types of professors, like Jews, which would be a violation of federal law. And so the way he puts it is they're trying to review who we hire on our faculty. We already know who they hire on their faculty. If you read my book, Plunder and Deceit, it's a very incestuous hiring practice. They have these different schools within the school, the school of journalism, the school of this, the school of that. And what happens is the faculty help select the faculty, and they pick people they know, they pick people of the same ideology, often the same ethnicity and religion, people who share their worldview. This is why you'll have maybe 5% or less of the faculty who's even considered right of center. In a college where you're supposed to have academic freedom, supposed to have debate, not just among the Trotskyites, the Maoists, the Leninists, and the Stalinists, but other people too. Go ahead.
It has implications for what kinds of views can be expressed on campus. They also want to be able to tell us who we need to fire. And they also want to intervene in our admissions process.
In the admissions process, the Supreme Court already intervened, but you see, Lester Holt is too stupid to remind them that the Supreme Court intervened because you were committing a federal offense under the Civil Rights Act. You were discriminating against Asian students, applicants. Lester didn't remind them of that. Lester didn't remind them of their history with the Nazi regime. Lester didn't do anything. And Garber, of course, he's not going to offer it. Go ahead.
That is what we are objecting to.
You're taking on the most powerful man in the world.
See what I mean? You're taking on that. This has nothing to do with that. These scripted questions. You need to bore into this guy and tell him about Harvard's record of racism and anti-Semitism. He doesn't even ask, what exactly are you doing after all this time? What are you doing to stamp this out? You're pushing DEI, which is affirmative action, which is illegal the way that you're handling it. Again, I want to repeat this. If there are people who are down and out, people who come up the hard way, that is allowed to be a relevant factor that's considered in admissions policies. People in deep poverty, that sort of thing. People have been discriminated against, so forth and so on. A school is free to take that into consideration, and it should. What it's not free to do is to say, okay, you're part of a so-and-so class, a black class or a gay class or this class or that class, some nomenclature, and therefore we will have some kind of a system, whether it's a quota system or less of a quota system, in which we're going to discriminate based on these physical features. The court has said no. That is unconstitutional. But you can, in fact, put a greater emphasis on people who've come from, hard knocks and that sort of thing. Go ahead.
We are defending what I believe is one of the most important linchpins of the American economy and way of life, our universities.
Oh, your universities are the last Stalinist strongholds in our country. And they are the first Islamist strongholds in our country. So he makes it like this is America and apple pie. It has nothing to do with America and apple pie. Let there be no mistake. He is defending what's taking place on that campus. He is defending the threats against Jewish students because he hadn't done enough to do anything about it. He's defending the ideological indoctrination that takes place on that campus. And then he's saying he wants our money. They want our money. We will invite him on, Alan Garber, Harvard president, to discuss this. And please, nobody tip them off about what I want to talk about. I want to talk about their history. I want to talk about what they did to those Asian kids. I want to talk about it. Now, isn't it interesting to you, America, that the one place where the hard left doesn't want the government, they want it everywhere else. In every industry and business. They want it in every bedroom. They want it in your household to make all kinds of decisions about what kind of household products you can have, what kind of dishwasher you can have, what kind of HVAC system, what kind of fan you can have, what kind of automobile you're allowed to have. They want the government in your life, boy. The Marxists, they're there, the hard, push, government. And then when it comes to them, they're libertarians. No. Government, no government here. Just give us your money. Billions. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. Making sense of the headlines.
First item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions.
Making sense of your world.
Can you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so.
Illuminating the issues every day.
I think he set forward his opinion and the direction he wants to take the country. I'm sure some of this will probably be sorted out by the courts.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Let's say it out loud here.
Making sense of the news.
The accident on 270 northbound between Prince Orchard Road and Middle Road now cleared from the roadway, but traffic is still jammed from 28. Also, watch out for delays on the George Washington Parkway northbound from Spout Run to the CIA. And southbound is very heavy from the Memorial Bridge to the 14th Street Bridge. And you will still find delays right now traveling on 395 northbound from Washington Boulevard to the 14th Street Bridge. And the freeway is jammed up between the 14th Street Bridge and the 3rd Street Tunnel. And still the crash activity, though, that is just about cleared eastbound on the freeway to southbound 295. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, partly cloudy, lows in the 50s. Tomorrow, increasing clouds, isolated showers possible, highs near 80.
When your business information is missing or inconsistent across the internet, search engines won't find you, and customers won't either. Help ensure customers see you and not your competitors. Boost your findability. CumulusBoost.com. CUMULUS.com.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
What's up, everyone? It's Trevor Sikkema here from the PFF NFL Show, here to get you ready for the 2025 NFL Draft. We're dropping PFF podcast episodes 3 times a week with the rankings, sleepers, team fits, mock drafts, and more, powered by the same data used by all 32 NFL teams. If you want a deeper insight into this year's class and how it all shapes up on draft day, we've got you covered. Become a smarter draft fan right now on the PFF NFL podcast. The PFF NFL podcast, part of the Believe Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Starlight Children's Foundation brightens the lives of sick kids like my son Finn, who was born with congenital heart disease. Learn more about Starlight by visiting starlight.org today.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
Making sense of your world.
Talk radio is where I get all of my information.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
CUFI. I want you to remember that. CUFI. What is CUFI? Christians United for Israel. They have about 10 million members. 10 million members. The Middle Eastern landscape is reshaping before our eyes. Blink and you'll miss something. As people try to modify maps and redraw lines, history is unfolding at this very moment. The nation of Israel stands naturally at the center of those groundbreaking events. Many believe that what happens in the Middle East has never been more important and never more filled with potential and fraught with peril. Many also believe that Israel's enemies are America's enemies. Christians United for Israel. Been in existence for 20 years now. Pastor Hagee, John Hagee, San Antonio, Texas. We call him our pastor, my pastor. I love this man. He's fantastic, and so is his family. Christians United for Israel, one of America's largest pro-Israel organizations, is leading the charge to help keep America and Americans on Israel's side. This summer, I want you to join. I really do. Encourage you to join thousands of us, pro-Israel Americans, Christian, Jew, whatever your faith, at the 20th Annual Christians United for Israel Washington Summit. Please mark it on your calendar, June 29th through July 1st. We want tens of thousands of people to show up, and I can't wait to meet each and every one of you. And while you're there, you'll learn from leading Middle East experts and make your voice heard. So don't be a bystander to history. Jump in with both feet. This is crucial. This is our home. That's what we're talking about. Register for the 20th Annual CUFI Washington Summit today at cufi.org. That's cufi.org. Promo code Levin25, Levin25. So it's cufi.org, promo code Levin25. Be part of this fantastic bottom-up movement that's at the forefront of history. Christians United for Israel this summer, June 29th through July 1st. Again, cufi.org, cufi.org, promo code Levin25, Levin25. I'm sure we'll have a lot of luck getting the president of Harvard on the program. And Harvard is being targeted not because there's an attack on academic freedom, because there's an attack on the lack of academic freedom. Because there's literally Jews who are afraid for their safety on the campus. I want to say this about Donald Trump. There's not another person as president of the United States who would be doing what he's doing. Not another one. This guy, look at this guy, Garber. He's Jewish. He's the president of Harvard. He's a weasel. Look at the former head of the ADL. Look at the current head of the ADL. Weasels. Trump says, I'm going to put an end to this damn anti-Semitism. Makes me sick to my stomach. I'm going to put an end to this violence and this threatening against Jewish students. We're not going to tolerate this in the United States of America. Donald Trump is giving voice to what Americanism is all about. Donald Trump is giving voice to what academic freedom is all about. Donald Trump is giving voice to what free speech is all about. That's what he's doing. You don't get these little safe havens in America subsidized by the American taxpayer where we pretend academic freedom is not academic freedom. That is, where we pretend that there's really education going on, that people feel comfortable voicing their opinions when that's not happening. And we're subsidizing it. These are basically big businesses that have these massive endowments. My first question to the president would be, that is Garber, how much do you earn? These guys are earning hundreds of thousands, some of them millions. That's what they're protecting. They're fiefdom. These are fiefdoms. They rip off students with their tuition. Then they rip off you and me, the American taxpayer, with their student government loans that they don't want to pay back. You and I, we're subsidizing the whole damn thing. The attack on Americanism, the attack on Jews, the racism through DEI, the admissions discrimination, we're paying for all of it. Trump says no. No. This guy Garber, in the face of all this, he pretends he's for academic freedom. He's not. He can't have the government looking at their admissions policies. Let me tell you a little secret, America. The government now looks at all admissions policies to determine whether or not they comply with federal civil rights law. To protect blacks, to protect Asians, to protect Hispanics, to protect Jews, to protect everybody. They look at the admissions processes. In fact, colleges and universities have to maintain those records. The problem is Lester Holt doesn't know his ass from a you-know-what, so he doesn't confront them, nor on their history. I'll be right back.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for your key insight.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
This is a major wake-up call.
Making sense of the news. Making sense of your money.
The state of the economy. The ability to afford your life. That's what people want.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades. Weekdays at noon.
The kind of thing I pay attention to. I'm looking at.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant. Weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
This is my new best friend, Esther. She might look like any normal, playful puppy, but Esther's being raised to become a canine companions for independence assistance dog for a person with a disability. To get there, she needs lots of loving care and attention, plenty of exercise, and good eating habits so that she can live a long and healthy life for her future family. Visit cci.org or call 1-800-572-BARK. Change a life. You can make a world of difference in the life of a person with a disability.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at DonorShoes.org.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 7. I'm Heather Curtis. A day after a 15-year-old student stabbed a 16-year-old classmate during a fight at West Potomac High School, weapons detectors are now at the school. They weren't there yesterday, but they were at another school as part of a pilot program that rolled out on Monday. 7 News asked Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis if the weapons detectors would have picked up on the box cutter used in yesterday's stabbing.
And I don't know. I think the technology has sensitivities attached to it where you can dial it up or dial it down, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But there's probably little doubt that a lot of folks are going to be interested in what that technology can actually do
to keep weapons out of schools. Meanwhile, 3 school board members are calling for more security following the stabbing, including installing those weapons detectors at every middle and high school.
Including increasing the number of school resource officers, the number of security assistants, and installing video cameras inside and outside of every school.
7 News' Michelle Marsh. A 17-year-old student at Westlake High School in Charles County is facing charges after the sheriff's office says a loaded gun was found in his backpack. A school administrator searched the kid's backpack because he reeked of pot, according to police. 7 News' Brad Bell.
That gun, we're told, a 9mm loaded ghost gun, no serial number. But in addition to that, in his backpack, it is alleged that he was carrying a large amount of marijuana, THC gummies, THC resin, packaging materials, as well as a scale.
The teen's charged as an adult with illegally carrying a weapon and possession of drugs with intent to distribute. A federal judge temporarily blocks the Trump administration's ban on DEI in K-12 public schools. The National Education Association and ACLU sued, saying the administration is violating First Amendment rights by limiting academic freedom and dictating what students can be taught. In February, the Department of Education told schools and colleges they need to end any practice that differentiates people based on their race, or they would risk losing their federal funding. Earlier this month, the department ordered states to gather signatures from local school systems certifying they were complying and rejecting what it calls illegal DEI practices. Citing the importance of family and support networks, a proposal from D.C. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton aims to keep some jailed D.C. residents closer to home.
Norton's effort, called the Improving Reentry for D.C. Residents in the Bureau of Prisons Act, would keep those serving sentences within 250 miles of the district. The Congresswoman notes 2,000 D.C. residents are serving time in prisons across the country, and there would be no government spending for new prisons because there are more than enough existing facilities inside of that 250-mile range. Norton's bill would help those, quote, maintain relationships with their families and support networks, increasing the likelihood of successfully re-entering society, close quote, upon completion of their sentence. Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
A federal judge temporarily blocks the Trump administration from enacting part of an executive order requiring people show proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections.
But other elements of an executive order signed in March can move forward, including mail-in ballot deadlines, and the Department of Homeland Security reviewing state voter lists alongside immigrant databases. Voting rights groups have challenged the order, arguing it exceeds the president's authority and undermines state control of elections. President Trump says the U.S. is not enforcing basic and necessary election protections. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Traffic and weather next.
Hey, weekend warriors, how's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
When you're in HR, it can feel like nothing is easy. From payroll to PTO, from onboarding to benefits, and everything in between. It's a constant juggle of tasks, systems, and spreadsheets. But your HR software? That's the easy part. Meet Bamboo HR. Trusted by over 34,000 companies, it handles all your HR tasks, payroll, benefits, and time tracking, so your team and your company can grow as fast as, well, Bamboo. And Bamboo HR software is actually easy to use. One simple system that pulls all your people data together in one place, so you can ditch scattered systems and wasted hours on tasks that should only take minutes. Because when HR is easier, you can focus on what matters most, your people. HR is hard. Bamboo HR is easy. Ready to simplify all your HR tasks? For a limited time, get a $100 Visa gift card when you complete a free demo at bamboohr.com/gift card. Again, that's bamboohr.com/gift card. Terms and conditions apply.
Here's Michelle Murray in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Still a slow go on the Beltway Interloop between 66 and the 270 spur, and again from Old Georgetown Road to New Hampshire Avenue. More delays heading in towards College Park and Landover. Outer loop still a bit heavy from 66 towards 236, and you'll still find delays from the Springfield interchange to the Wilson Bridge. In Fairfax, there was an accident on westbound 7 at Reston Avenue, and also watch out for an accident in Centerville on Ordway Road between Old Centerville Road and Compton Road. Earlier accident on 270 northbound at Quince Orchard Road, cleared from the roadway, traffic still jammed from Maryland 28. Now from GarageStoryHere.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Hazy conditions today, but that air quality will be improving after 7 p.m. 63 to 69 degrees this evening. Friday morning sunshine, afternoon clouds, and a chance for showers. High temperature range between 73 and 80 degrees. I'm 7 News Chief Meteorologist Rebecca Johnson in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now, 74 degrees in Annandale, 74 in Camp Springs, and 75 degrees here in Washington. I'm Heather Curtis on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Mark Levin.
Deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. President making himself available in the Oval Office, as he is wont to do. More than any other president, that's for sure. And they're talking about, among other things, Russia and Ukraine. Now, Russia continues to bombard the population centers and energy centers of Ukraine. I don't think it's any secret here that I think that Vladimir Putin is a genocidal monster. He wants to conquer Ukraine on his way to Poland and the Balkan states. That's what he said. That's what he wrote. And so I take these things seriously when dictators say and write these things. And when Islamists talk about blowing us off the face of the earth, I take it very seriously. It's called being a rational human being. Ukraine was promised our support, Britain's support, Britain's still supporting them, and Russia's support, should they be invaded, when they gave up the nuclear weapons, the biggest mistake they ever made. Bill Clinton was president then. He was president then. So let's take a listen in. The White House today, Russia and Ukraine. Cut 6, go.
On Russia, do you still believe that Putin is serious about peace given the events overnight in Ukraine? And if that bombing doesn't end, are you considering new sanctions on Russia?
So we are thinking that very strongly that they both want peace, but they have to get to the table. We're waiting a long time. They have to get them to the table, and I think we're going to get peace. We want to save 5,000 young people. I used to say 2,500, and I say 5,000.
And here's the problem. Putin doesn't care about saving 5,000 people. He's already lost 400,000. He started it. He could end it easily. It's like the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran. They'll sign any deal. Just a matter of time. And they may even honor it while Trump's president. Democrat comes in, they'll rip it up into 1,000 pieces. That's what we're dealing with here. Go ahead.
Mr. Prime Minister, we have about 5,000 young people a week that are dying in that ridiculous war. And, I started out because I didn't like all the money that we were paying, and then I realized how many people were dying. And that's by far the more important element right now. I'm saying we can save thousands of people. And I don't like that it takes long at all. But I think they both want to make peace. I do believe so. There's a lot of hatred there. There's a lot of very bad blood, a lot of distrust. But I think I hope we're going to get there for the sake of a lot of young people that are dying.
But if Putin doesn't care about a lot of young people dying, they're dragging them into a draft, if you will, forcing them on the front lines. I'm not sure how this is going to work, although I salute the president for giving it all his effort here. Cut 7, go.
Mr. President, this morning in a Truth Social post, you used the words Vladimir, stop. That seemed like a slightly different message, a personal message. What is your level of frustration with President Putin?
I didn't like last night. I wasn't happy with it. And we're in the midst of talking peace, and missiles were fired. And I was not happy with it. That's what I meant. And that's, what I said. I saw that's what you mean.
Sorry. If the bombs keep falling, will you consider additional sanctions toward Russia, or what will you do if President Putin?
I'd rather answer that question in a week. I want to see if we can have a deal. No reason to answer it now, but I won't be happy. Let me put it that way. Things will happen.
Cut 8, go.
Putting a lot of pressure. You don't know what pressure I'm putting on Russia. They're dealing. You have no idea what pressure I'm putting on Russia. We're putting a lot of pressure.
Can you maybe tell us that?
We're putting a lot of pressure on Russia, and Russia knows that, and some people that are close to it know, or he wouldn't be talking right now. The Prime Minister understands that better than anybody. He wouldn't be talking right now. He's talking and we're putting a lot of pressure. I think he wants to make a deal. We're going to find out very soon, but it takes two to tango. And you have to have Ukraine want to make a deal too. And they're being hit very hard. And I do believe they want to make a deal.
Perhaps the biggest mistake in that war is the Biden regime. We talked about this early on, withholding the kinds of weapons Ukraine needed to really punish Russia. And that may have brought this to a better conclusion. Right now, Putin could just fire missiles, attack Kiev, just hammer away, really without much consequence. Really without much consequence. So that is going on. The president was also asked about Iran. I'm looking for that now, Mr. Producer. I think that was earlier. Let's see here. Which one is it, Rich? Let's find it. Let's see here. Here it is. It's cut 10. Go ahead.
I think we're doing very well with respect to Iran, and we're having very serious meetings. And there are only two options, and then one option is not a good option. It's not a good option at all. And I think we're doing very well on an agreement with Iran, but that one, we're doing a lot of things, I will say, but that one is well on its way. We could have a very, very good decision, and a lot of lives will be saved.
Well, we'll see. I hope he's right. I hope this means that they will disassemble the nuclear program, which I don't think they will. I suspect they're looking at allowing them to retain what everybody will say is the ability to have nuclear domestic power, which of course they don't need. They have all the oil they want. They're selling it to China. And you don't need the kind of centrifuges, and you don't need the kind of fissile material that they have produced to make nuclear power. And then you look at Iran. Do they really have the infrastructure for providing energy via nuclear power to their people? No, they don't. They haven't spent one penny on it. The people of Iran are very poor. Inflation there is 30-40%. The leadership is very rich. They rip off the people. They have gulags and so forth and so on. So this is not being done on behalf of the Iranian people. That much I know for 100%. But the president feels, from what I'm listening here, that things are going swimmingly and they're going quickly. We'll wait and see how this turns out. I have a question for you, though. I saw what Marco Rubio said as well, that countries have a right to have nuclear power for peaceful domestic means. Is that what Iran's doing? Nuclear power for peaceful domestic means? We can't get Marco Rubio on this program. He'll talk to dictators, Marxists, fascists, Islamists. He won't talk to us. In fact, Mr. Producer, let's try it again. And
come on, get.
I have a very basic question. My very basic question is this. How many nations that are building or have nuclear power for purely domestic energy needs are we negotiating with? Do you know, Mr. Producer? None. Why would you negotiate with a nation that you know is building nuclear plants for domestic use? You're able to tell, I mean, the technologies are different. There's some basic technologies that overlap, but the technologies are generally different. You wouldn't, and you don't. We're not negotiating with countries that have nuclear power or nuclear power plants to ensure that they don't build missiles. So this whole thing is a facade. I don't care who says it when people are saying, oh, they have a right to domestic energy, nuclear energy, domestic energy. That means to me, and look, I'm reading the tea leaves. We'll find out soon enough that there's going to be some significant, basic technologies and materials that will remain in place. The Iranians will be free to change the label for nuclear missiles, rip that label off and put on a new label for domestic nuclear energy. And then are we supposed to nod our heads or bobble heads and say, okay? I don't know. We'll see. I have faith in the president to do the right thing here. So we will see. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Hey, weekend warriors. How's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Making sense of your world.
Common sense. Let's get back to common sense.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon.
Now that should give you a lot of cause for hope.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnades, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
The Sean Ryan Show Peak Points. Get timeless inspiration from the very best of the Sean Ryan Show.
What did you think of working with the SEALs? We went out every night going after bad guys. I was humbled. There was no going back home. I would be in another room crying because I was afraid to go to sleep because of what was coming for me in the middle of the night. How long did it take you to be able to talk about? A long time. But I realized my experiences may help other people too. The men like yourself that are considered legends in the community.
Right. The Sean Ryan Show Peak Points. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
You know, Americans love using their credit cards, one of the most secure and hassle-free ways to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com, guardyourcard.com, paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the Big Wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Making sense of your world.
Thanks for taking my call.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Greatly appreciated.
Making sense of the news.
Tomorrow on the Chris Plank Show, Minnesota Democrat causes $21,000 in damage to Teslas, and there will be no charges for him. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
So Dan Abrams, the guy with the multiple dead squirrels glued to the top of his head. I don't know if he wears makeup or not. I know that's something they're very concerned about, right, Colby? So we're at Mediaite. So this is a site they created to observe the media. Nothing but another vile site. Let's go through some headlines. Mediaite. I'll hook you up to a effing polygraph, Hegseth reportedly erupted at Joint Chiefs Chairman. He's suspected of leaking to the press. Trump pardons disgraced politician who used money raised for slain police officers to pay for plastic surgery. Pete Hegseth's chief of staff is out as Pentagon loses fifth top official in days. It was a knife fight. Let's see. Marjorie Taylor Greene reportedly mulling 2026 Senate run and thinks she would crush all but one challenger. So they sprinkle real articles in, but then they go off. Florida Senate Minority Leader steps down, switches registration to independent, declares Florida Democrat Party dead. Trump nominee claims he was unaware of white supremacist views when praising him. Fox's Gasparino warns we're almost in a recession because of Trump's tariffs. Trump now selling Trump 2028 merchandise on his online store. The president has been lying about a bunch of prices. Daniel Dale fact-checks Trump's repeated deception on tariff fallout. Bill Maher fumes over Larry David's op-ed mocking his Trump meeting and insulting to 6 million dead Jews. Maher's right about that. Fox reporter says that Trump White House is giving Wall Street executives inside info on tariff negotiations. Jim Acosta scathingly complains Trump has cracked the code to hurt the press amid CBS bombshell. Trump hypes a pretty big concession Putin is willing to make in Ukraine, not taking the whole country. Fox Business Panel blasts Trump's perverse 5,000 baby bonus plan. Charlie Kirk says Trump administration fueling anti-Semitism by detaining critics of foreign country Israel. Now let me say this. These headlines like that are thoroughly misleading. Charlie Kirk is a big supporter of the state of Israel, and that's not what he's saying. Certainly not in that way. What he said was actually quite thoughtful. And he's saying here when you're going to deport somebody because they write an op-ed that is critical of, say, Israel, that helps fuel anti-Semitism. Now, that last part may or may not be true, but it ought not be controversial. That's his opinion, and it's a perfectly legitimate opinion. If that's his opinion, which it is. I don't agree with it, but so what? It's irrelevant. I'm making the point, though, that here they are trying to turn him into some anti-Israel, anti-administration podcaster, which he's not. They pull the same crap with me.
Yeah, why?
Well, look at this. Levin is defying Trump. I have my opinion, not defying anybody. On the one hand, you're criticized as being a jackboot marcher behind the president. Then on the other hand, you give your opinion. Look at that. He's defying Trump. That's why this website that I bring up, it's a foil for me. It's illustrative of the problem the Democrats are having with their so-called new media. They get a lot of clicks. They get a lot of hits. They're grifting left and right, but they're not contributing anything useful to society, not real information or anything of the kind. They're not. It's just another grifter operation by Dan Abrams and his hair. Actually, by the squirrels of Dan Abrams. But it's like 80% hostile, boom, 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 and it pretends to be a media site, Mediaite. It's not. It's just another hit job. MAGA influencer tells Steve Bannon, Trump will have no choice but to suspend habeas corpus. Trump dismisses raising taxes on the rich because a lot of millionaires will leave the country. Trump warned by Walmart, Target, Home Depot, CEOs that disastrous tariff policy will lead to empty shelves. It sucks. Trump bitterly rages against Fox News and calls for heads to roll. The Wall Street Journal and then just on and on and on. Trump, 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 Trump. It's like these guys in media, they're in heat. I mean, there are real things going on in this country and with other countries. Real stories. I just talked about Iran, a potential deal. That's what it's not even on their website. Nowhere close to it. Is that not an important issue? Nuclear weapons? I'd say it is. We have a judge that rules that, and she's a big-time Democrat out of Washington, D.C., and these Democrat so-called voting groups and the Democrat Party bring a suit against the Trump administration because, among other things, he thinks when you register to vote in federal elections, you have to prove you're an American citizen. And she just ruled, no, you don't. That's up to Congress and the states. And yet, she ruled the rest of the executive order was legitimate. Apparently, that's not up to Congress and the states. So she doesn't even make any sense. But she's protecting the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party went to court to prevent the showing of evidence that you're an American citizen in order to register to vote. And they won in front of a Democrat hack judge. But of course, that's not a story here because Dan Abrams is a Democrat hack, and so is media. Just making a point. Just making a point of how they conduct themselves. And that's how they conduct themselves. And I'm using them as a foil because they're not alone in what they are doing. And yes, I'm very worried about a quote-unquote deal with the Islamo-Nazi regime in Iran because they lie and they cheat and they have violated every single aspect of every deal they've ever signed. I'm incredibly concerned about it, especially once President Trump leaves office. I'm very concerned about it. And the line that Marco Rubio gave doesn't even make any sense to me. I'd like to question him about it politely. When he talks about, these countries, they have a right. Every country does to have a domestic use for nuclear power. Yes, but we're not having to sign agreements with Iran. Yes, but we're not having to worry about them making nuclear missiles aimed at the United States, right? We're not having to worry about them say death to America over and over and over again. That is a little different, I would say, than your average country that is trying to develop nuclear energy for themselves. No, it's a lot different, in fact. So if that's the mindset, I'm going to be watching very carefully. If I agree with the deal, I'll tell you. If I disagree with it, I'll tell you. I'll be right back. History, economics, the great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution. Did you study these things in school? Probably not. Or even if you did, maybe it's time for a refresher. Hillsdale College is offering more than 40 free online courses. Learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, the stories in the book of Genesis, or the history of the ancient Christian church with Hillsdale College's free online courses. I'm personally enjoying Hillsdale's course, The Second World Wars, taught by Victor Davis Hanson and Hillsdale's president, Larry P. Arnn. Doesn't get any better than that. This free 7-lecture course will give you a clear picture of why the war was fought, how the Allied powers ultimately triumphed in order to save the West from a new form of tyranny. The course is self-paced, so you can start whenever you want. Go right now to levinforhillsdale.com to enroll. That's Levin for Hillsdale.com. No cost. It's easy to get started. That's levinforhillsdale.com to register for free. Levin for Hillsdale.com.
Maryland side of the Beltway, inner loop in Montgomery County is slow from Old Georgetown Road to New Hampshire Avenue. College Park inner loop is stop and go from Route 1 to...
I have company, so I have to go.
On the inner loop of the Beltway in Landover, jammed up between Landover Road...
I'll be back later.
Now, on the outer loop of the Beltway in Greenbelt, it's stop and go from the BW Parkway